What's good in the streets, everybody? I believe, therefore I am King Siler. Welcome back. So we got today's hot topic. And I couldn't necessarily even say this is a hot topic. It's kind of like more of a warm or lukewarm topic because it's something that I feel is kind of it's like beating a dead horse. It's old and it's tiring, but I hear it's a constant excuse that I hear on a regular basis. Shouts out to Rob, fam, aka Killer Siler. He brought up this particular topic, and I think it definitely needs to be clarified. So let's jump into it. So the question, versus more so of a topic: are you a freestyler or are you a battler? Are you a freestyler or are you a battler? Now, the topic of conversation kind of came up a while back, and I had a conversation with a fellow dancer in the dance community, and I kind of followed up with it with a few other dancers as well, and I kind of got the same response, for lack of better words. This particular dancer felt as though the same people on a regular basis are always making it to the finals or the top 8 when it comes to open style competitions. Now, as you guys know, open style competitions are really big out here, and I'm not talking about all style competitions. We're talking about open style. Open style meaning you can do whatever the hell you want to. All style meaning that you have to do all styles. I understand that certain regions have different rules to it, but I'm specifically talking about open style, so that way we don't get it misconfused or misconstrued in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Confused, not misconfused, excuse me. But like I said, the question is, are you a freestyler or are you a battler? Now, I'll just simply use myself as an example because that's obviously just the best way possible when we talk about these particular conversations about cultures, so to speak, or where we come from. My personal opinion: just because you're a freestyler does not make you a battler. Let me say that slowly so people can understand. Just because you freestyle does not make you a battler. Even something that I had to learn for myself: just because you pop or you know how to pop does not make you a popper. When you put that ER behind it, or in any shape, form, or fashion, or if you're just talking about any other genre of dance for that matter, that means that you're fully committed to that genre of dance. That means that that's what you focus primarily on. You're a part of the culture. You're a part of the community. You're constantly, surrounding yourself by that community at all times, at any chance that you can get. So, yeah. So, are you a freestyler or are you a battler? I consider myself a crumper. Do I know how to pop? Absolutely, but I don't consider myself a popper. Can I house? I'm a very beginner at house, but I don't consider myself like a super house head. I can't hop in no competition in house, but I can definitely hop in a cypher or go to a club or whatever the case may be and still interact with the community. I say all that to say that, again, when we talk about these specific genres of dance, we're talking about a specific set of rules and traditions that we abide by. And that's what I kind of want to start painting this narrative with here. When we talk about freestylers can be anybody. If we want to just be perfectly honest, freestylers can be anybody. You don't have to be fundamentally trained in any way, shape, form, or fashion to be a freestyler. Neither do you have to be a battler. But when we look at your common freestyles in this day and age, which majority of the time, these are a lot of the people that I get a lot of the negative feedback about, judges and stuff like that being biased about, who gets to the top 8 or whatever the case, or finals for that matter. Majority of these people are freestylers, but they are not battlers. Let me say that again. Majority of the people that I come in contact or I have conversations about biasness when it comes to judges are freestylers, but they are not battlers. Let me explain that. Let's just take an example here. We know plenty of choreographers across the world who can freestyle. Freestyle their ass off, and they're pretty damn good, for sure. But we also know that they spend majority of their time doing choreography. Doesn't take away from their skill set as far as like as choreographers or as freestyle for that matter, but they spend their majority of time in choreography. It's as simple as that. Now, can these people freestyle? Absolutely. Freestyling can be done by anybody. It just simply is a free thought process of a sequence of moves that you just put together without, just right off the top of the head. You're not trying to go back and redo every single moment. You're living in the moment. You're taking whatever knowledge or art form that you have in that moment, and you're just simply putting it out there and adapting it to the music live right then and there. That's freestyling. Freestyling your freestyle can either be great or it can be trash. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're still freestyling. There's no margin of skill that you have to be considered a freestyle. You can be trash and still be a freestyler. You could also be a battler as well. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be some of the best battlers. And here's the loophole where we get into here. A lot of the freestylers, in my personal appearance, who complain about the top 8 are good freestylers, but they are not great battlers. They have a tendency to speak about the people who are traditionally trained in these street style dances that are almost synonymous with freestyling and battling when it comes to learning their culture. As we know, freestyling and street style dance went hand in hand because we went to the streets to resolve issues amongst our community that our politicians and elected officials couldn't handle. So learning to think on our feet was the freestyle aspect of it. But learning how to artistically disarm our opponents is where the battle mentality came in. I have to be able to execute at a moment's notice and do this to embarrass you. As we know, battling originally was for two people to resolve an issue. It's not about us just simply, let's just battle for the love of it. If that's the case, then we can just cipher together. We don't have to battle. Battling was initially created to resolve issues between parties or one or more people. It was not meant to just simply, let's just battle just to battle. We can just cipher, we can just get down. We can live in the moment and just session together, doesn't have to be battling. But I understand times have changed. Competition's good, friendly battles here and there, it's okay. Not knocking it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But when you look at the typical people that, if we're just simply being honest, that you see that are always making it to the end or whatever the case, and we're making to the finals, these are people who are battle-hardened veterans or battle-hardened freestylers. They know how to think on their feet. They know how to adapt right there in the moment, but they also have a particular set of skills that are specifically designed, traditionally as well, to disarm their opponents. It's a part of the culture, and all these your typical genres of dance like popping and breaking and crump and stuff like that. You're literally supposed to get out there and artistically and creatively disarm your opponent. That's what battling is. At least that's what it is in this day and age. For crump, I understand it's a little bit more, it's more showcase oriented because you know your opponent's months in advance. So that's even more prone to battling. At least you know exactly who your opponent's going to be. You get to pick your tracks, and I get to bomb on you for the next 2 or 3 minutes until I'm done with my rounds, and then I'm artistically disarming you. So I say all that to say is that when I hear these comments from certain genres, from certain dancers, I personally have to kind of, in a sense, like look behind them and kind of say like, okay, well, what tools are you using? And it's typically the people who literally have almost zero or little experience in actually battling. They stick to a particular comfort zone around the people that where it's just like, yeah, I freestyle. I'm a freestyler. That's cool. That's fine. But just because you can freestyle doesn't make you a battler. You have to be able to like attack your opponent. That's what battling is. And it's not the same as it was. Again, like you're not beefing with every single person that, you battle with in a or that you're going against in a competition. But guess what? You do have 45 seconds to make sure that your round is presented, showcased, and presented as better than the opponents, whether you're starting the round or you're rebuttaling. More so when you're rebuttaling as well, because often a lot of times most battles are 2 rounds unless you're getting through prelims. So you got to be able to rebuttal in some capacity. But if you do not have the skill or the training or the experience overall to be able to go back and be like, okay, this person did waves the entire time. Okay, well, I'm going to bounce and, make sure that I'm moving my feet and waving. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of mentality that you have to have. So it's not a knock against people. And I'm not going to sit here and say that like, oh, every situation, the judges are always completely unbiased. That's not true. There are going to be some judges who are biased. I personally will just simply put out there, part of learning and growing as a freestyler and as a battler more than anything else is learning that every battle that you win, you're not going to always win. If you know you won the battle and they don't pick you, the objective is for you to win the war and just simply learn from it and get better. You're going to get shafted at least sometime or another. Most real battlers know that they've lost more times than they've won. And that's not to, be condescending towards these people as far as like their emotions about how they feel about, the battle culture and stuff like that. But I definitely want that to get across to a lot of these, I'll just simply call it these non-traditional freestyle dancers. If you're not coming from a particular culture that is battle hardened or literally a consistent part of their culture is to battle, then you have to understand is that these battlers are going to have an edge over you because battling and freestyling are almost synonymous with each other when it comes to these genres of dance. Crump definitely, like, there's being in Crump and like having to prepare 2 rounds or 3 rounds for an opponent that I know is preparing rounds to make me look bad, 5 or 6 months in advance. There's no higher level of anxiety than that. So I literally have no fear when it comes to battling any other genres of dance because majority of the time they don't do that. Really, there aren't a lot of the genres of dance that do showcase battles or pre-selected battles as the rest of the scene will see it as. So I definitely want people to start asking yourself this question. Are you a freestyler or are you a battler? You can definitely be both, but if you find yourself constantly on the back end of competitions or you find yourself not winning or whatever the case may be, then it's probably best to go back and look at your own tool shed. Don't be that person that always goes to, oh, it's bias or, oh, it's this way or these particular people are saying this way. I personally don't want to do that because if I'm always putting the reason as to why I don't advance or I don't excel in my personal craft on somebody else, then there's no point in you dancing. There has to be a point in time when you reflect upon yourself and say like, maybe I'm just not good as I think I am, or I'm just simply not good enough. And if we're going to keep it 100, we're never, ever going to be good enough. There's always an opportunity for you to be better. As artists, we're always going to be our biggest critics. And we should always look at and evaluate ourselves and say that we can do better. But I will personally say as someone, again, who's been in the game for an extremely long time, I've lost more times than I've won. But I don't ever recall a situation where I was just flat out just saying like, oh, it's this person's fault that I didn't advance. As they say, like, yo, if you don't want to lose, then don't leave it in the judge's hands. Make it unanimous for figure of speech. Yo, if I want to win, then I want to make sure that I'm going to body this person for however long or how many rounds that I got. I'm going to embarrass this person. I'm going to use all my skills to the best of my abilities. But you can't just simply practice one aspect of it. You know what I mean? Don't hang around a group of people in which you're simply comfortable if you're trying to be better battling. Because once you get used to that group of people, your skills will dull. So will your experience and so will your edge. Get around people that you're not familiar with. 2, put yourself in uncomfortable environments. Put yourself around different genres of music. Don't be one of the people who's always complaining about music. I hate those people, and those are the worst people. It's called freestyling for a reason. If you're not going to adapt and you're not going to freestyle, stop competing. And more so, stop complaining. 3, take an opportunity to get around people or other genres of dance that are better qualified at battling than you are. The cold hard truth that people have to accept is that these street style dancers will always be better at battling than most other genres of dance because it is ingrained in the culture. If I've got 45 seconds to dog walk you, I would rather, in my personal opinion, no disrespect, but I would rather have something in my pocket like popping or breaking or crumping versus a hip hop class, fundamental hip hop class. That's just me. Again, you don't have to have a millions of, a bunch of different styles just to win as well. Don't be that one person who has a million styles that's average at all of them. Don't do that. Just get one really good one if you're comfortable with that and go from there. So all in all, like I said, just because you're a freestyler and you don't make it past prelims or you don't make it to top 8 doesn't make you a good battler. Take some time out to self-reflect and ask yourself, am I really as good as these other freestylers here and some of these other battlers, considering that this is what they do on a regular basis? I think we should do that before we take it anywhere outside of here first. So that's for today's hot topic. Tell me what you think. Peace.